Welcome to Group 5's presentation of our chosen organisation Woolworths, which forms part of the Woolworths Group. In Group 5 is Nicholas Hayes, Laura Murphy, myself Nathan Roberts and Claire Terizzi. Our presentation will cover the strategic analysis, formulation, implementation, evaluation and conclusion on Woolworths and its strategic management process. Now I'll hand over to Nicholas.
Thank you, Nathan. So today we're going to be conducting a strategic analysis on Woolworths, and we're going to be focusing mainly on the supermarket side of things. So just taking a look at the supermarket brand share in Australia, as we can see, Woolworths occupies roughly 38.2%, Coles 29%, and IGA and Aldi about 32-33%. So we can see from here that Woolworths has a pretty comfortable control of the market. So now we'll conduct a pestle analysis on Woolworths. So politically, we know that the investigation is ongoing into whether there's a duopoly state between Coles and Woolworths can hurt consumer trust. Socially, we know that over time there are preferences moving towards more convenience, but also more healthy, more green foods. Technologically, there is a huge growth in the online digital marketplace. That's where it seems most growth will come from, and Woolworths is currently leading this. Environmentally, we know consumers are wanting more greener supply chains and greener alternatives. So now we're looking at Porter's 5 forces. So we know that the threat of new entrants seems to be low as the market's quite mature and Woolworths and the other major competitors are quite entrenched. The threat of substitutes is moderate. Most other supermarket chains offer the same or similar products for around the same prices, but consumers tend to stick to what they know. The bargaining power of buyers is quite high. Consumers tend to be price sensitive and there's a lot of alternatives. And the bargaining power of suppliers is low as Woolworths has quite this strong grip on the market that suppliers rely on. So now we'll conduct a SWOT analysis. So Woolworths' strengths rely around their supply chain, digital platform and rewards program. Their weaknesses, they have a highly concentrated Australian supply chain, so any sort of disruption to that can leave them quite vulnerable. Their opportunities rely around consumer preferences moving towards more philanthropic things from corporations. So the Odd Bunch initiative is quite a great opportunity for them and others like it. And threats rely around the consumer trust, as mentioned with the duopoly lawsuit. And consumers want more transparency around the higher cost of goods. So just looking over to the threats and opportunities over the next 5 years, Woolworths does face these external regulatory pressures at the moment, and they're facing consumer trust issues and rising supply chain costs. In terms of opportunities, they have this very strong hold on the digital marketplace, so continuing to innovate and strengthen that area will further entrench their market position. So I'm going to pass it over to Laura now.
Thanks, Nick. Let's delve into the strategic formulation. Using the RIO analysis, we identify resources and capabilities that provide Woolworths with a competitive edge: their retail grocery network, e-commerce capabilities, and supply chain management. Each of these resources and capabilities are leveraged through their business level and corporate level strategies. Woolworths effectively employs an integrated cost leadership strategy and differentiation strategy. Cost leadership is evident in their marketing emphasis on pricing through various promotional price categories. Woolworths also recognise the importance of differentiation to avoid a race to the bottom. Woolworths attempts to enhance customer value through various initiatives such as its own food brands, the direct-to-boot service, online shopping and app, and the Everyday Rewards loyalty program, to name a few. Integrated cost leadership and differentiation strategy is exemplified in its Get Your Woolies Worth campaign, which integrates price and value for the customer. Using the ANZOF matrix, Woolworths primarily employs a market penetration strategy with a secondary focus on market development. The market penetration strategy is evident through their aggressive expansion in the digital marketplace, reflected in year-on-year growth in e-commerce. Woolworths is also consistently expanding its retail grocery network across existing markets, solidifying its position as a market leader. In terms of market development, Woolworths is exploiting its capabilities through reconfiguration into more B2B markets, as seen through the organisation of its supply chain for Primary Connect. Woolworths leverages both operational and corporate relatedness across its B2C and B2B brands effectively. Woolworths employ a dominant business diversification strategy, with its food business generating 75% of revenue as its core business. Woolworths seeks value creation through diversification with vertical integration in its food business through Woolworths' own brands that sold in store and exploitation of its supply chain efficiencies through Primary Connect. Transference of core competencies is also leveraged in Woolworths Metro, Woolworths New Zealand and Big W brands. I'll hand over to Nathan.
Thank you, Laura. Woolworths have a track record of being successful in implementing their chosen strategies, which is achieved using a structural controlled view with adaptive elements to address local and regional concerns within the operating and external environments. This is evident in Woolworths year-on-year sales and EBIT growth, with the Woolworths Food division making up 74% of the group's total revenue. The successful implementation and profit growth is supported by a comprehensive corporate governance framework and business structure, diverse and experienced board of directors, and generous executive remuneration strategies. An effective way to analyse the implementation process and what is working well and to highlight areas of concern is to use the McKinsey 7S model, with our focus on the structure, systems and shared values areas. What works well for the implementation process is Woolworths' ability to transition high-performing individuals into key roles, with the recent appointment of the new CEO Amanda Bardwell a great example, with her previous division WooliesX contributing approximately 3/4 of the Australian Food division's EBIT growth in financial year 24. Woolworths also has a strong focus on diversity across the LGBTQ+, First Nations, disability and gender, as diversity provides an economy of scope in terms of thinking and ideas you just don't get from groups of the same to support this process. An area of concern during this is the change in CEO and the loss of experience at the corporate level of strategic implementation and the uncertainty of Amanda's abilities to transition the success of her previous roles and the potential to negatively impact this process. An additional area of concern relates to Woolworths' shared values and the customer and team first approach, which are greatly misaligned, more so evident during the cost of living crisis and the current ACCC investigation into price fixing and gouging, with these behaviours evident across the broader supermarket industry. It's also impacting on the perceived trust of Woolworths, dropping to the 34th most trusted company in Australia in 2024, a drop of 32 places from 2023, which is also in part a direct result of the ACCC investigation. Woolworths needs to provide greater transparency to its customers of its pricing strategies across its products' life cycles and how the economic environment impacts pricing. This could also be achieved through a greater diversity within the board of directors. Overall, Woolworths is in a very strong position, with the biggest challenges relating to the development of high-performance work systems and in rebuilding the trust with its employees and consumers following the ACCC investigation. The next 12 months will be a testing and challenging time for the new CEO. However, with Amanda's history of success, along with the resources and skills available to Woolworths, it should continue to successfully implement its chosen strategies. Now I'll hand over to Claire.
Utilising a triple bottom line reporting approach, assessing Woolworths and value creation across 3 dimensions of profits, people and planet, it is evident that Woolworths is performing well and maintaining a competitive advantage. Woolworths is performing well in economic dimensions with strong profits reported. Their increase in sales, earnings before interest and tax, and return on funds engaged indicate resilience and an effective strategy despite external pressures. Their growth slowed in the second half of the year to 1.8%, which is linked to the economic environment and inflation rate and suggests heightened proactivity is required to curb these issues with consumer trust and transparency. In terms of planet, Woolworths play an active role in mitigating environmental concerns and align to consumer trends of environmental awareness. The annual report links financial returns with implementing strategies for supporting viable and resilient food systems. Woolworths create value through decarbonisation and plastics and packaging initiatives. This is a brand differentiator and helps to build consumer trust through corporate social responsibility. In terms of people, Woolworths create value in net societal benefit through hunger and food waste programs and their Healthier Choices program. Woolworths food waste initiatives and their Mini Woolies program highlight their commitment to social responsibilities, as well as their accolades as the diverse and inclusive employer, which aligns to the McKinsey 7S analysis with a key focus on staff and diversity. Notably, however, their voice of the customer net promoter score, value for money and reputation scores have all reduced in the past year, indicating the need to focus on value creation in this area. In conclusion, Woolworths is performing well and holding its place as a market leader. Its current strategies are effective, represented by strong year-on-year growth. There are strategic implementation concerns that are currently being addressed through internal development processes and the appointment of a new CEO. However, Woolworths' future prospects are going to be determined upon its ability to appropriately respond to risks in political and economic areas of concern, with no demonstrated evidence of current strategy to address reputation risk. Two recommendations include leveraging e-commerce success to continue to build profitability and competitive advantage in this area. Secondly, rebuilding consumer trust, refocusing the strategy to revitalize the core brand of food by managing risk and sharing cost burden with other brands.